Shalom Aleichem. On this, the night of the 15th of Shvat, known in our tradition as Tu B'Shvat. It's the first Mishnah in the Gemara. The oral law of Rosh Hashanah says that there are 4 New Years, 4 Rosh Hashanahs in the year, and this being one of them, this is the New Year of the trees, the Mishnah tells us. And the main... And this is the New Year of the trees that we're celebrating tonight. It has mostly to do with the offerings that we bring from the fruits in terms of having to take parts of the fruits off to offer for the priests in the temple and called Mises and Trumas for the Levium. Right? We won't talk about too much right now. We're sitting here in Ir HaKodesh in the old city of Yerushalayim. And this has become a tradition for my family for sure, because my father, Alav Shalom, left the world on this day. He passed on Tu B'Shvat many years ago. And since that time, I've been trying to maintain to do a Tu B'Shvat Seder every year. And there was a good friend of mine, a dear man by the name of Rav Yeshua Moshe Bergman, who years ago, this is his 20th yurtzeit tonight, and Rav Yeshua, 20 years ago, when you went out to the stores, like now if you go out to the stores in Eretz Yisrael, in the land of Israel for sure, and even in America, you'll find all these packages of fresh fruits. But in those years, 20 years ago, there wasn't really anything in the stores. There was really no recognition. And Rav Yeshua saw it and wanted to broadcast to the world this wonderful holiday of the Jewish people, which is really, we'll talk about it maybe as the Seder goes on, this is really the beginning of the spring season. It is the kickoff point to Pesach. It's exactly 60 days until the night of the Pesach Seder. And we'll see there are many similarities between what we're doing here tonight and the Pesach Seder. Very, very quickly, that the barometer for this holiday, the Torah tells us that the majority of rains for the year have fallen by Tet Vav Shvat. We hold like Beis Shammai. Like Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai said it was on the 1st of Shvat. Beis Hillel said like tonight it's on the 15th of Shvat. The majority of the rains have fallen in Eretz Yisrael for the year, because don't forget, Eretz Yisrael, it doesn't rain all year. It only rains from the time from Sukkot until Pesach, and then during the summer, it's a money-back guarantee if you see any rain. If you want to come away on a vacation, there's no rain here. And then also we see that the winter season, the majority of the winter season is yet to come, but the majority of the rains have fallen. And according to that, they say that any fruit that has come out on the tree up until now, there's arguments, as usual, what we have to discuss, what's the criteria, whether it's on the bloom or whether it's on the fruit. Whatever it is, the majority of the fruit, or a third of the fruit, has come out by now. The mices and trumas, the offerings go on the previous year, and everything that comes out on the tree, either blossom or fruit from this point on, will go on to next year. And that's what we're recognizing tonight, in the formal way of it. But there's something much greater happening. This is a holiday of trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is a holiday of trust in our Creator. And most of all, it's a holiday of recognition, of praise and gratitude. If you look around the table here, you'll see there's so many different species of fruits. Everything on these tables, by the way, is a Brei Priya Eitz. It's a tree that grows from year to year. And many, many of the sages teach us that human beings, are compared to the tree. And that's really what this Seder, a great part of it, is about. The tree's tall, man is tall. The tree breathes out a poison called carbon dioxide. And the tree breathes out a poison called oxygen. And that's the food for man. And man breathes out carbon dioxide, which comes out to be the food for the tree. We have this symbiotic relationship. If I can take a quick minute, can I have that behind me, Rabbi Hanan? The first thing that we're going to eat tonight is one of the things that the Torah talks about, is that the tree at the beginning, right? Some people said it was wheat. And this is the young wheat, right? When it's only about 2 weeks old, it'll eventually grow up to be a wheat plant. And earlier times, there are people that say that this was really a tree. And we're going to see the first species that we're going to make a blessing on tonight is the only species in the Seder that doesn't have a bracha or a Brei Priya Eitz. That we're going to say Brei Priya Adamar in these times. Brei Minei Mizonos, excuse me. There's going to be a mezonos. Everything else is going to be a priates. This is the wheatgrass. It's a very excellent blood purifier in medicine. So we talk about the tree brings us healing. The tree brings us many, many pleasures. You know, God, like when the man in the desert, it was one color and one consistency and one flavor, even though we could change it. But let's leave that out right now. But look at this. We look over the table here. We have every color probably in the rainbow. We have every consistency. We have these pistachio nuts that, you know, they're closed completely. And suddenly one day, what happens? They open up. You ever try to open one up with a knife or a hammer? It's not so easy. And yet some reason on the tree, right, this thing popped open so we could get to the pistachio nuts. And on and on and on. We'll talk about as we go on. So this is the Tu B'Shvat Seder where we're going to be recognizing at least 20. In the Seder, we're going to have 22 different fruits that we're going to make recognition of. We're going to bring Pesukim down. We're going to bring sentences down from the Torah. We're going to make comments on the quality and the fruit that we learn from it. And we're going to taste everything. And tonight, just to make a point, you'll see in the beginning of your Tu B'Shvat Seder book, right, we make a very clear point that you should make sure that you taste everything, right, in terms of consistency. Is it hard? Is it soft? The color of it, the flavor of it, right? Think about the fruit. Some of them have a shell on the outside that you can't eat. Other things are completely edible. Or other things only the inside's edible. Other things only the seeds are edible. HaKadosh Baruch Hu and His love of Klal Yisrael and His love of the planet Earth said, instead of giving you one thing that all tastes the same and has the same consistency, I'm going to devise as many different tastes and consistencies as I possibly can to bring joy to my children.
On the Shema website, they can download the Seder in French, Hebrew, and English.
On the Shema Yisrael website, that's www.shema, S-H-E-M-A, Yisrael, YASRAEL.com. You can...
Y-I-S.
What?
Y-I-S.
What did I say?
Y-A-S.
Oh, YASRAEL, ShemaYisrael.com. You can download in French, Spanish,
Hebrew, and
English the Tu B'Shvat Seder that we're doing right now. So you'll be able to do your own Tu B'Shvat Seder. There's a list of all the fruits here on page 3 in the Tu B'Shvat Seder, all the fruits that you'll need. We use dry fruits because it's easy. You can use fresh fruits. You can use other fruits other than these. The only fruits you want to make sure you get are the 7 fruits of Eretz Yisrael, the Sheva Minim, and the Esrog. Because the Esrog, we're going to make a prayer for the Esrog tonight. Why? Because on this day, we're told that in the root system of the trees, we have a beautiful logo that will be on the Shema Yisrael website also that was done by a good friend of ours. There's fire in the roots of the trees. The sap is starting to move. The blood of the trees is starting to move. Springtime is coming back in. The winter time has finished itself. It's dormant right now. Everything in most of the world is dead and sitting in the winter season in the northern hemisphere. And yet in the roots of the trees we'll see that the first formation of what's going to be fruits and leaves and all the parts of the trees are starting to form as the sap starts flowing in the tree. And for that reason we'll see we're going to make an extra strong prayer tonight for our esrog, that we should see in the root system of the tree, in the concept rather than the physical manifestation of it. We should see that esrog of what we'd like it to look like, whether we'd like it to be green or yellow or bumpy or smooth, whether to have a waist in the middle, whether to have to put tum on top, whether not to have it. We want to visualize what we have and we want to pray tonight. Because when you pray for something before it's formed, you have a much better ability to move it around and manipulate it, because once it's been formed, it's hard to change it. But in the concept of it, in the mind, we can move things around. All right? Again, taste it. Enjoy all the flavors. Enjoy the chewiness of hard things, soft things, and all that. They're wrong. Okay. We are about to begin sequence number 1. All right? It's in your Tu B'Shvat book. I will fill in as we're going along. Right? There's what the sequences are and what they're about. As I mentioned, this is the beginning of the season for Pesach. And just like Pesach, we have 4 cups of wine that remind us of the going out from Mitzrayim. So too on this night we have 4 cups of wine. Just very quickly, I'll talk about all of them right now. The first cup is all white wine, or all white grape juice. Why? Because it's symbolic of the winter season. when there's dormancy on the planet. There's hibernation. There's no real living life force in the planet. And therefore we take the first cup of wine representing, it's all white, representing a force in the world that just is sitting dormant. There's no life's blood in it, which will be represented by the red wine. So the first cup we're going to do is we're all going to pour for each other to give us a little taste of Pesach. Don't pour your own wine. Everybody should now, we're not going to drink it now, everybody should pour their wine, right, for their neighbor, and pour only white. You don't have to fill up the cups, right? Just put some into your neighbor's cup. All white, though, with no red, because we're talking about the winter season. The second cup is going to be representative of the spring, which we're going to do in the second sequence. We're only in the first one right now. When we get done drinking this cup of wine at the end of the first sequence, we're going to pour. Use the small cups, by the way. That's what they're here. I'm sorry. There's little shot glasses. We're going to take the next cup is going to be mostly red, mostly white, 3/4 white with a little bit of red. Why? Because it's going to be symbolic of the beginning of spring when a new life force starts coming into the earth. The third cup for the third sequence is going to be half and half. It's going to be symbolic of the summertime when things are coming into their fruition state. They're coming into being, first harvests are coming in. Some of the summer fruits are starting to come in. And the last one is going to be representative of 3/4 of red with 1/4 white, is going to represent the fall season when most of the things have come to fruition. Most of the things have matured, right, and are being picked and harvested. And then we'll come right back down again to the white. So everybody should have now white wine or white grape juice in their cup. And now you'll see, or you should have a plate in front of you that has a sakiyot, a bag. Everybody here should, right? That has a bag with all the different minim, all the different species that we're going to need for this Seder. Please empty the bag onto your plate. I'd like to thank my daughter, Rachelina, right, and her friends from her school, the wonderful school she goes to, that they came here last night and they cut up all the fruits and the species and they put them in bags from us so we'd have them be ready to make the Seder. And to my son David, right, and his friends today for coming by, right, and coming and setting everything up for me and helping me to get all the tables over here and get it the proper cover that should be given. And really, what started this all? I mean, we have it every year, but night special for Rabbi Hanan's Smicha program, right? A special group of men have come from all over the world to join us in the Seder with Rabbi Hanan to take the test for their Smicha, and they're joining us at the Seder, and we really welcome you. We're grateful and we're honored, and the Seder is made by the people that are making the Seder. So thanking you for helping us to make the Seder and making it as beautiful as it is. Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. And of course to our inspiration and like the fire in the roots of the tree, we have the fire of Reb Fischel in our roots, right? And he said, let's do a Tu B'Shvat Seder on the internet, right? Every year we come, we sit down, our friends sit down, we have this, we love it very much, but Reb Fischel thought, we should put it out in the world, so here it is. So our springtime fire, right, bringing that lifeblood into our lives and putting things that were small and beautiful, but not so recognized because of Reb Fischel. This is going to go out throughout the whole world, right? And should be an Ili Neshama for my father and for Rav Yeshua Moshe, right, for what they have put in the world and helped us to get started here. So let's get started with sequence number 1. Everybody has their cup poured. The first sequence, we said everybody fills with a cup of wine, right? And we said it's all white. It's dormancy of the winter. We now take the staff of life. That's the wheat. Now we're only going to say in Mazonos, we're going to have a Seder afterwards. But this is a Seder mitzvah. You speak Torah. Afterwards you have a meal. It's a Seder's mitzvah. Then we're going to take this wheat now and recognize the wheat in the form of Mazonos, not in the form of bread. Right, not for hamotzi, but mizonos. And we invite everybody should have a cracker, a piece of cake or something. Right? You take the mizonos right now. We're going to read in every one of these minim. We're going to have a pasuk, right? We're going to have a sentence from the Torah, right? And we're going to read it and we're going to translate it. Right? And then it's here. It's right here. Okay, the wheat cracker. It's from Tehillim, 81:17. But he would feed himself with the finest of wheat, The wonderful gift of wheat, right? As I mentioned before in showing you the wheat, that some people hold it was once a tree. We see the beauty of the wheat is such a lesson for us. The greatest lesson in the world. What do we start off with? We have this wheat berry. You ever try to eat a wheat berry? You better have really strong teeth made of steel. Because if you bite on it, you're probably going to break your teeth before you break the wheat berry. Here's the message for us in the world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the world. What did he do? Gave us a wheat berry. There's 11 steps in Hilchos Shabbos for taking the wheat berry and bringing it into the final thing, which is ofa, which is baking, that we have a loaf of bread. That's our lesson in the world from the wheat. The most delicious, the staff of life requires work. The staff of life requires you to take something in its raw state and put it through planting and harvesting and collecting and grinding and sifting and separating till we finally get on and kneading, and finally go and put it in the oven, we bake it, we get this delicious loaf of bread that nourishes and sustains us. So too, all the great things that will come into our lives will take hard work and effort. But the result, like the loaf of bread, is compared to the wheat seed, is something that's unequal in the importance and the value that it has in our life. So we invite everybody to take our cracker, to say a Berei Minei Mazonos, taste it, enjoy the flavor, enjoy the consistency, realize it's the first of many things we're going to taste tonight. Baruch Ato Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Borei Minei Mazonos. How satisfying is the taste of wheat that's been cooked. Many times you just can't feel satiety. That's what it says. You can't feel full from anything else. You eat fruit. Anything else just doesn't do it. There's something about the wheat that God gave us that makes us feel like we really had something to eat and we feel satisfied from it. Next on our list of the minimum in the sequence, first sequence, is the olive. Everybody should have an olive. Right? That's Olive, as opposed to ALEF. The Aleph Day song. Let me find it in your local grocery store. Right? I have the olive. Someone stole my bag. Everybody knows what the olive looks like. Olive is very special to Eretz Yisrael, needless to say. They grow everywhere here. We could bring many, many things down for the olive, but we'll bring two down tonight in terms of why it's so important, what we can think of as we eat the olive before we say the blessing. Number one, to remind everybody, we're going to say a blessing, Berei Priya Eitz on this, and we're going to have in mind all the other minim, all the other fruits that we're going to eat at the Seder, we're going to have in mind as we make the blessing on this olive, that all the other eitzim should be covered. Thank you. All right, olive number one. You ever see what it takes to make olive into olive oil? Gavalt. If you want to know why we've had 3,500 years of the suffering and the difficulties we've had, they bring us to the state of being refined oil. The olive shows you. They take the olive, they bonk them off the tree. Then they take and put them in these machines that beat them into a pulp. And then they go and they put it in and they press it so hard you can't even, there's no air in there, you can't get through to it. And you come out with this beautiful golden delicious olive oil. Don't eat it alone though. Make sure you mix it with something. It's dangerous to the health if you eat it alone. And you make the oil out of it for lighting the lamps and the oil for our food. And the olive for eating has to be put through a process of being pickled right before it becomes edible. But more important than I see in the olive for me, it's always the olive's been this incredible thing. If you take and cut an olive tree down to 3 handbreadths from the ground, what happens? It just starts growing all these little sprouts right out of the middle. You got this big, broad trunk, right? Besides the fact it gets very old and very beautiful, got all these little sprouts coming up. That's like Klal Yisrael too. You cut us down, what happens? Here come all these little sprouts. The little next generation is just picking up from where the father left off and building its whole new tree out of it. So from the olive we learn that Klal Yisrael lives eternally. Klal Yisrael was promised the covenant of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. And from the olive we're reminded that even when we're cut down, even when we have hard times, and even when things are difficult, let's not forget, right, we'll rejuvenate, we're coming back strong, and we're continuing to grow and prosper. So let's say our blessing. First, let's read the pasuk. We said that God has called his name the leafy olive tree, beautiful with shapely fruit. We make the blessing and say, your children shall be like olive plants surrounding your table. Right? And olive, I don't know, it says here that the olive tree never withers, right? But you can see some trees go 1,000, 2,000 years. Olive trees get extremely old, right? Come to Eretz Yisrael and see them, right? They're very beautiful everywhere. So we say the bracha Berei Pri Ha'etz, right? Eat this and don't forget, have in mind all the other eitzim that you're eating tonight. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Ha'olam Borei Pri Ha'etz. Quite different from the taste of the wheat cracker that we ate. Right? A very special and unique taste, and very special and unique flavor, a special and unique consistency. Take that olive off the tree, you can hardly get your teeth into it. Now it's soft, got this wonderful flavor. All right, the date, one of the staples of Eretz Yisrael. You'll find it on your plate. Any fruits that have relevance to bugs, don't forget, we Jews do not like to eat bugs. It's bad for the heart. Makes the heart hard. The tamtem the lave. It just impurifies it, makes the heart so you can't feel anything. We don't need any more of that. We got enough of that. So everybody should take a look. By the way, all the food on the table is under the hechsher and the hashkacha of the 80 charedis bedats. The salad dressing later on will be under has an OU. Everything else is bedats. Mahadran. All right. So let's see. No, that's not it. The date. Yeah, that is. I'm sorry. Then you're right. The date has a beautiful brown color. Date tree, as we say. Again, a little lesson from the date tree. You ever look at a date orchard? They're just straight lined up, one next to the other. They're all very, very much the same. The trees, of course, everything's unique. There's no two things the same. But the trees are so beautiful to look at. They're a good mashal. They're a good example of us being the army of Am Yisrael that's serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The trees, when the wind blows, they don't go and bend over a little bit. The whole tree kind of moves over and comes back, moves over, and all of them move together. That's the way we have to move. As we've talked about many times in the past, God said to Abraham, I'm going to make you like the sand in the sea and the stars in the heaven. And they asked, what did you need them both for? They're both very numerous. And they answered, right, the sand of the sea had its power and they're all identical and they're supporting the weight of the earth. So too the palm tree. When you look at the date palm, the fruits it produces in abundance on these huge clusters. That's also like Klal Yisrael. The families of Israel are all produced together. And we see that each of us, like the trees in the orchards, straight lines like an army of Hashem, right, serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Again, we said the blessing. Taste the softness, the sweetness of a sweetening agent like nothing else. And what is it called? This is called the land of milk and honey. The dates used to be. This is not bees' honey they're talking about. This is davash. The davash of the date palm is what we're talking about. And it says that, and still today, if you see these fresh dates, they have a honey oozing out of them that's incomparable. Enjoy the date and the sweetness and the taste. Quite a change from the olive to the date, right? In the consistency of it, in the smell of it, in the taste of it. Dates go very well on wheat crackers, by the way. That's what they do. They grind up the dates here, and we got date paste, and you put that on instead of jelly. Right? Here's a nice use for dates. If anybody doesn't know, you take and grind up, make the date paste, and then you just mix it in with nuts, right? And you make a date roll, right? With nuts and seeds and sesame in it, right? A wonderful treat instead of giving our little beloved children candies and sweets and sugars. You know, there's natural things that are much better to feed the kids. Unfortunately, we've gotten lazy and we forgot, but let's remember there's natural, beautiful gifts. That food is for health, everybody. Let me get this right. Let's live to eat, not eat to live. Or is it the other way around?
That's the other way around.
Other way. Let's eat to live, not live to eat. Okay, I got it. Right. But we don't realize it. Food is a very, very important thing in our life. These healthy, beautiful foods we have, we don't need all these chemicalized foods. We don't need all these artificial foods. Look at this. Look at all the taste you've had so far. We've had sweet, we've had a salty taste or a vinegar taste, and we've had the beautiful sustenance of the cracker. Now to the fourth min in the sequence 1, we have the grape. We'll use raisins. We have some grapes on the table if anybody wants. There are grapes on the table. Please feel free. There's raisins on your plate, yellow raisins. Anybody would like a grape? The grapes of Eretz Yisrael, the finest in the world. Oh boy, are they ever good. And of course we know what the grape is used for, right? That grape is used for Kiddush. Right? And the Mishnah in the 6th parak of Bracha says what? That the fruit of the tree, right? We're talking about Brei Priya 8s. Would you like one? They're good. The Brei Priya 8s, right? And we also say that there's a special fruit of the tree is called Brei Priya Guffin. It's a blessing made. It's called the fruit of the tree. It's not a byproduct. The vineyard is just for the process. One of the processes the vineyard is put in the world for is that we can make our wine and our grape juice, which is our source of Kiddush, is our source of Havdalah, bringing in a holy day, sending out a holy day to recognize holiness in the world. We do over the grape, we do over the wine. So everybody now, it says, your wife shall be like a fruitful vine in the recesses of your house. And we see by the vineyard, you have to take very, very good care of the vineyard and nurture the grapes. And the grapes, one other thing about grapes is they're very sneeze. You can go in the middle of the grape season, if you haven't been out there, into a vineyard that's full of fruit and not see a thing. You walk along and go, God, there's no fruits in this vineyard this year. You got to pick up the leaves. You got to pick up to find the clusters underneath. And that's the way our wives of Am Yisrael, Klal Yisrael, live to be. They're sneers. They do what they do. They produce this tremendous fruit, right? And they do it in a quiet and sneers way. It's called modesty. And we also have to be modest. Right? Everybody, all Jews have to practice modesty. So we invite everybody to taste the sweetness of the grape. Right? And here you see that there's a plant that the whole thing, like in the date we just had before, the pit wasn't edible. And here the seeds, there's even seedless grapes right now where the whole thing is edible. Right? And when we had the olive pit wasn't edible, right? And then the wheat, the berry was only edible after processing. And now we come to the end of the first sequence where we take our grape juice or our wine, and we lean to our left. If you don't lean, you don't have to go back and do it again. But it's a little bit of a practice here for Pesach. When we do lean, why? Why do you lean? Because free men lean, free women lean. Well, that's the argument whether women lean or don't. Free men definitely lean, right? And we lean as we drink our wine or our grape juice at Seder. We do so tonight in the preparation for the season. A l'chaim to all our friends here in Eretz Yisrael. And we say the bracha, Berei Pri Hagafen, to cover all the cups of wine that we'll drink. Baruch Ato Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Berei Pri Hagafen. All right. Now, we're going to begin sequence 2. Don't pour for yourself. Let someone pour for you in the small cups, only because we have so many people. And want to make, what? 3/4 white and 1/4 just a little bit of red, a quarter red. I don't know. I think Dana just, yeah. Okay, and someone just take the red. Now don't forget now, one of the things that Pesach is for is dedicated and directed at the children, to get them, to inspire them, and to awaken them to ask questions and to their curiosity. And same thing over here. Many of the children just look forward to this Seder very, very much every year. They love to have all the different fruits, treats given out. And we love good questions. From children we get good questions. Children get special treats for good questions. Okay, everybody should be ready now to begin sequence 2. We won't drink the cup again until the end of the second Seder, second sequence. And the first minute of our second sequence will be the fig. Now be careful with the fig, especially you check for bugs. Figs have these little, tiny little seeds in them. They look like white poppy seeds. Figs are very unusual two words I'd like to say. One, when they're fresh and alive, the bug, the worm that infests the fig looks exactly like the fig seed itself. And you open up sometime, you have to look at a fig when you open it up, and you're sitting there looking at a really good fresh fig. If there happens to be a worm, everything looks the same except one of the seeds is kind of looking like a cobra that's being snake charmed. Right? They're just kind of waving its head back and forth. They look exactly, and if they don't move, you can't tell the difference. But the most beautiful and important thing about the fig, and it's why you have to guard your fig orchard, because what happens, figs are unique. Most trees, when they ripen, all ripen together, and you harvest them together. What's unique about the fig? The fig tree harvests just enough fruit every day to feed the local community of what you need. And it stores the fruit for months. Literally 3, 4, 5 months, you can have a fig tree from the first day that it ripened until the last figs are taken off. Every day you find a new batch of figs that are ready to be eaten, and the rest of the tree is left in its green state. You're not able to eat it. So we should also be like that, producing fruits every day, constantly mechadesh, constantly coming up with new concepts and new ways to strengthen our lives and to excite in our lives. So let's take the fig now. He who guards the fig tree shall eat its fruit, and he who watches his master will be honored. If somebody he doesn't guard his fig tree, another will come along and eat its fruit. What's the meaning over here? Other trees, if somebody came along and ate it, they'd eat a few, but you'd have some left. In the fig tree, generally, when you get there, it's just enough for you to feed you, and therefore the owner of the tree, Chas v'shalom, if you would touch anybody else's tree, or if it was in the public thoroughfare, there'd be nothing else left. So you have to guard the fig tree constantly to make sure you get the food right on a daily basis. Enjoy the taste. Now here's a food that's completely edible. There's only a little stem on the end when you break it off. And the milk of the fig tree, believe it or not, is very, very good for warts. It has the same, the medicine that they use in hospitals for burning off warts, right? Figs have the same, the milk of the fig tree has that same chemical substance to it, right? And is used as for removing of warts. Putting it on regularly, that white milk that comes out will take and cause warts to dissolve. All these foods are fruit. All these foods are also trufas. They're also healings for us. The pomegranate. Can I have open the corner? There's a pomegranate right on top. I just wanted to show you. This is a half of a pomegranate from Eretz Yisrael. It should be right under there. You see it? There we go. This is just a half or a quarter of a pomegranate from Eretz Yisrael, from here in Israel. And the fruit you see when it harvests, these pomegranates were found on the bottom of the... Just a second, hold on. That's a good question. Let me count them. 1, 2, 613. Yeah? Did you count them? And this is what a Jew is, right? Why are we like a pomegranate? How many mitzvahs does the Jew have to keep? How many seeds are in a pomegranate? 600. 613 is the number of mitzvahs that we have to keep. And there's a lot of pomegranates have 613 seeds. Now, some people say that they all do, but I've counted some, but they're close. They're not maybe exact, but they do come close to 613.
Give the guy a prize.
And the beautiful is, right? That's for you, special. Oh, enjoy. Woo. Good question. And you can look over here and you can see the beauty of the fruit that they break open, right? And look inside there. Look at this. Just beautiful, beautiful. Look at the beauty of that. And these seeds right now are fresh, and they're a very wonderful medicine for the urinary tract and for cleaning out the liquids of a person's body where we need to clean out sections of the body. All again, we won't go into all of them, but all of these fruits that we're eating tonight, they also have medical purposes and medical uses. So let's now eat the pomegranate. Anybody wants a few extra? There's a whole bowl over here. If people haven't eaten it, we have fruits for Shechianu. I would say wait on the Shechianu for the pomegranate because a lot of these are kept in storage and they're not from the year, right? They're somewhat stored. We do have fresh fruits. We have a passion fruit over here that you can make a Shechianu. We have cactus fruit that you can make a Shechianu on. So just don't make a Shechianu on dried fruits. You probably could make it on this because this one especially is fresh. It was brand new when I bought it. It was really just perfectly ripe and looked like it just came off. Oh, what's a Shechianu? That's a good question. I don't know. Shechianu. We have a tradition that when you get to a particular season of the year, or when you get something that's new and special called chashivas, it's called important to you, give it value. Right? We say a blessing on it, right? That you thanking the creator of the universe, the Borei Olam, for bringing us to the season and endowing us with all the blessings that we're endowed with. So here we've come around to a season through a whole year, and we've come back to the season when the pomegranate's ripening on the tree. And we want to make recognition of that, right, by saying this blessing. We'll hold that off, though, on some of the other foods that are here, all right? So let's taste this now. Enjoy the beautiful, beautiful flavor of the pomegranate. And what we're eating now in the pomegranate is the seed. In the last couple of things, we were putting the seeds away as something that was completely edible. Please pass this down. You're actually eating the seed of the fruit.
So each seed, each pomegranate is 613 more pomegranates.
No, each pomegranate is 613 more pomegranate trees, theoretically, right, with a full contingent of pomegranates on the 613 other trees. I think that's called geometrically squared. Regressional. Esrog. All right, all you people that keep sukkahs. What's sukkahs? It's a holiday where we move out of our houses into the sukkah. These structures that are temporary structures that we lived in the desert, which were compared to the clouds of glory that went with us in the Midbar, in the desert, in Sinai, when we went out of Egypt, right? And we're commanded to take 4 species. We're commanded to take pomegranate. We got to take a pomegranate? Ooh, boy. You want one? Oh. Just take the seeds. Don't just eat the red seeds. All right? So now what do? We're commanded to take arbor minim, the 4 species. We've got to take a esrog, a lulav, hadassim, and a ravos. And these represent 4 parts of the human body. The esrog represents the heart. The lulav represents the spine. The hadassim represent the eyes. And the aravos represent the lips. We are now going to pray for the heart, which is our esrog that we're going to take. When we make our blessing, we put the esrog in one side, and we put the other 3 minim on the other side. We make our blessing, and we bring them together. These are representative and compared to the 4 different kinds of Jews that we have. Jews that do mitzvahs, study and do mitzvahs. Jews that only study and don't do so much in mitzvahs. Jews that do mitzvahs and don't study so much. And Jews that don't do anything. And all of us are an integral part of Klal Yisrael and Am Yisrael. Everybody at that level. We all want to get to the level, needless to say, of studying to know the will of God and to do the will of God. But every one of us on our path is along the way, and we're walking together. And none of us are left out. And none of us are thrown out. We belong together as a family. We all have to help each other and pull each other along. We are now, Chazal tells us, Chazal being the Torah tells us, that on this night especially, when the sap is starting to flow, and what's so unique about an esrog? The esrog is a fruit, the only fruit I think that I know of, that remains on the tree from years to year and keeps growing. I just saw in Hamodia or Mishpacha, one of the magazines, the picture of the largest esrog in the world still on a tree. It's about 4 feet long. It's like, it's even bigger than the Tammany that's holding it. I mean, it's over a meter long. It's still hanging on the tree. You can't even put your arms hardly around it, right? And they have it held up and everything else. But you can let them grow from year to year. The biggest part of the discussion in the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah on page 14, A and B, and 15A and B, is what is the time that the esrog goes after when it comes to picking it from mices and trumas. When it says that when we said that this time is the Tet Vav of Shvat, is the New Year's for the fruits of the trees, the main part of the discussion is what time do you measure the picking? Is the esrog measured from its picking time or when it first came on the tree? We won't go into that right now, but one thing we want to do, we want to make sure everybody gets a piece of that esrog, right? Take a piece of this wonderful dried esrog and make jam out of it. Right? Oh, there they are. I'm sorry, that's it. They're open. This is what it looks like when it grows on a tree, by the way, right? And it comes in these little packages. And this is what it looks like when it comes on a Tu B'Shvat Seder. So everybody please take a piece of the esrog. It's a very light colored fruit, right? It's been pickled. It's been candied, right?
Okay.
You got it? Okay. As we're getting ready to eat this, the Chazal, the Torah tells us, right? It says you shall take, as I mentioned the first day, the fruit of the tree, the palm tree, right, the leaves, and I mentioned all the 4 species. And it says on Tu B'Shvat, every tree is judged, either it will live or die, flourish or fade. Right? Therefore, mystics have used this day to pray for the perfect esrog. This is the time you had whatever you had. You like green, you like yellow, you like a little bit of both. You like it with bumps on it. You like it smooth. You like it wasted in the middle. You like it round. You like it long. You like it big. You like it small. You want it with a pitum. You want it without a pitum, without the little bud on the end of it, without the little bud on the end. And no marks on it. You want it to be perfectly clean. Let's everybody take a minute right now to say, please, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give me that perfect esrog. I can bring a mohuda meaning a beautiful, beautiful esrog, when I bring my arbor minim for the coming year. And picture what you want before you, and as you're eating your esrog, right, before you eat it, picture what kind of esrog you want. Ask the Creator of the universe to help you to get that esrog this coming year at the right price, and that you can give and glorify Hashem in bringing the 4 minim, the 4 species for sukkahs to the sukkah. Please. There are many people that hold that the esrog was the fruit in the garden as opposed to the fig, because the fruit and the tree both have a flavor. They both taste. The Garden of Eden. Right? They both have. The bark of the esrog tree has a flavor like the fruit. And when we learned from the teachers about the fruit in the garden, we learned that the fruit and the tree both had a flavor, and it would have been perfectly fine for them to have eaten the bark. They just weren't allowed to eat the fruit in the Garden of Eden. Now we have one of the staples of our world is the apple. We use dried apples. Right? Now the apple is, like the apple tree is the wood, is my beloved among the sons. I sat down under the shadow with great delight, and its fruit was so sweet to my taste. We see that the Gur Rebbe, Sfas Emes, mentioned that the tree, again, being compared to man, the tree provides shade for us, of shelter from the heat of the sun in this world. And if you want to hear a beautiful dissertation on the apple, I don't know which number tape it is of the 3,475 tapes he finished before he left this world, but Rabbi Avigdor Miller, Zichron Sarach Lebracha, right, his memory should be blessed. Our Rebbe, he had an hour and a half straight on just the apple. He talked about the seeds, that here's this fruit, like Seder said, the seeds come into the ground, and it grows all these new apples, self-contained package, self-perpetuating. The tree, the fruit stays green, hidden in the leaves until when it says, when it gets ripe and ready, it says, gets red, so it says, come eat me now. Until that time, right, it stayed green to hide itself in the leaves. Right, and you just look at the beauty of the apple, even had a self-polishing kit. Where did the polish come on that apple? Take that apple, rub it on your pants, boy, and the thing gets shiny bright. Where? They don't spray, nothing. All the beauty that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is given to allow us to have the pleasures of these fruits. We eat this apple now and taste this. This is dried now. It's been dehydrated, right? And we put it in our mouth, our liquid, our saliva gets back in, it blows it right back up. It's like eating an apple. Mm-mm. No two tastes alike. No two consistencies alike. Here you have a big fruit and you have that little core in the middle. You want to do something interesting with all the fruits you eat. Some fruits are 6 stars and some fruits are 5 and some are 4, some are 7. Cut open the fruit and you see that most fruits have a star in them. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Of course.
Well, of course it is. Right?
Jerusalem, what would you expect?
All right, so all the fruits, you see stars in the middle of them with different prongs on them, right? The term 5 stars, 6 stars, 7-pointed stars. And that's the apple. We're now ready to end the second sequence before we go to the third one. And it's Shir HaShirim here on Parsha Shira. Mazel tov to my family, to my daughter. I just became a grandfather on Shabbos again. Baruch Hashem. And my new granddaughter's name is Shira Esther. And to Rivka and Yitzhak, right, and all the family, right, Mazel tov. He brought me to the banqueting house, and his banner over me was love. Mount Sinai was the banquet house where all Jews satisfied the desire for truth. There they said, the most important thing the Jew ever said in the world, or any human being ever said on this planet Earth was, Nasa v'nishma. We'll do it. We're going to do it. And it's a big thing to remember and to learn. If you want to start keeping the Torah, or you want to improve your Torah quality, in both quantity and quality, don't try to figure it out first. If the Torah says to do it, do it. And when you start doing it, you'll come to understand it and want to do it more. But if we think the Torah, that's what exactly the Torah is telling us here. If we think we're going to come and figure it out and then we'll decide if we want to do it or not, it doesn't work that way. Nasiv and Nishma. Just take it up, jump in. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us. He says, you'll be safe by me. Jump in, do the commandments, right? And then you'll come to understand, and then you'll really get to be able to do them in a qualitative way. We invite everybody to lean as we now drink the second cup at the end of the second sequence of the second Seder. L'chaim. Okay, can we invite the pourers now to half and half red and half white. Don't pour like that. Or the other way. That's the way they pour when they wash the dead. Hever Kadisha pours like that. And you haven't been there. That's why you didn't know.
Oh, you got the red in there.
Yeah, I got my red. I'm ready. Okay, sequence 3.
You gotta be happy.
Yeah, there's a whole box next to you if we run out. Top box is white. Bring out a fresh bottle. I'm full already.
Question about the pouring on the wine. on Pesach, I understand we pour for each other because it's an Indian of freedom and going out and being kings, and so we have another service. But why now?
This is the beginning. This is warm up for the Pesach season. We're free men. We're the spring. It's a time of the rejuvenation. But I really, from what I see, it's that you're doing things here to start reminding and exciting the children and ourselves about the Pesach Seder.
So it's all the same, repeating the same ideas with Pesach, getting in preparation for it.
In preparation for it, not because if we're going out, but we're getting in preparation that we're going to do it. So we do it this way here. If you don't pour for somebody else, you haven't done a sin. There's no chumras here. You got to pour, or else you're in trouble, right? We don't have that.
Or be poured for.
And you don't have to be poured for if you pour for yourself. And if you don't lean, you don't have to go back and drink again. It's just a nice thing to do. Again, it doesn't say in the show the third sequence, and we have the walnut. Now the walnut, I don't have any here in their entirety, but the walnut. Let me see a big one. I have one somewhere. There it is. The walnut. If you opened up the walnut from its big shell, you'll see something very interesting. The walnut has 4 parts to it. And walnut bark is a medicine for the heart. And it also, the walnut looks like a brain. It's also a medicine for the brain. It's a brain food. And if you look at the walnut, when you break open that round, if you got it out in its entirety, it looks like the moach. It looks like the brain. You can see it even in the small parts. It looks like what you've seen pictures of the brain. But also in terms of compartments, it has 4 compartments like the heart inside the shell. And both the walnut bark and things are foods for both things and medicines for both things. So we take the walnut right now, and it says, I went down to the garden of nuts to see the fruits of the valley and to see whether the vine had blossomed, whether the pomegranates were in flower. The garden of walnuts has a pleasing fragrance. It refers to the temple, to our Beis HaMikdash, the Holy of Holies. While the Kohanim offered sacrifices and burned incense, the Levites sang Tehillim. At the same time, the Israelites from all over Eretz Yisrael recited special prayers. These services enabled the great Sanhedrin, Jewish Supreme Court and legislator, to properly interpret the law. And there's the moach, certainly part of it, of the brain, that we use our heads, right? We got to get those heads functioning and understand what the Ribbono Shel Olam, what our Creator wants of us, and how to do it. Let's taste this walnut. We're into the nut world right now. A whole different flavor.
We are in the nut world. That's why I don't know what color it is.
Almonds. Shchedim. Shchedim, right, are the fastest blossoming plant. They blossom first. We see that the shchedim was the staff Moshe and Aaron used. Before that thing, it's Rezis. We want to do things quickly. When you have the opportunity to jump on a mitzvah, you run to jump on it. We don't lay around and think about it. Maybe I will, maybe we jump. The shchedim too, it puts out the blossoms the first thing in the year. If we went up on the roof right now, we just got a shchedim tree that we're putting in tomorrow or the following day. It's filled with blossoms. It's got flowers all over it. Maybe we'll get a picture of it tomorrow during the daylight. It has flowers all over it, and that's what we want to do. Is we eat the almond right now. We too have to be like the almond. We have to run to do the mitzvahs. We have to be the first on there, do the will of Hashem. And it came to pass, and on the morrow, Moshe went into the tent of the testimony. Behold, the rod of Aaron from the house of Levi had sprouted and brought forth buds, blossomed, and yielded almonds. Enjoy. All right? We've made a substitution here. Carob is a very problematic fruit. We see that we have many stories in the Torah about carobs and how they've sustained and kept people alive. But the problem with carobs is bugs, and we want to make sure we want anybody to eat bugs. We're against that. So what we put is just putting in cranberries here. The cranberry juice is very, very good for the kidneys and other function of the foods that we eat. Cranberries. All right, everybody has their cranberry. It's a nice red color, deep red color. We'll read about the carob because that's what we have here, that after the destruction of the Second Temple, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Ushachtos Recha fled from the Romans to a small cave in the Galilean village of Pekium. For the next 13 years, both he and his son, Elazar, toiled day and night, writing the Holy Zohar, the basis of Jewish mysticism. In order to sustain them, the Almighty created a spring and carob tree outside their cave. And we're eating again. We have in mind, we said that about the carob, we're having cranberries. We should not have any problem from the bugs. Dried pear.
Okay, now we get exotic.
I think this is better.
Yep. Up until now, we've been quoting from the Torah, from the Chumash, and from the Nach. Now we're going to go into Mishnayot, to the oral law. Again, this whole Seder is a hint of the whole tradition of the Jewish people. We had the written law, we had the written law of the prophets, we had the written law of the Song of Songs and Tehillim. Now we're moving over into the oral law. There's two Torahs. There's the written Torah and there's the oral Torah. And now we're starting with the oral Torah from the Mishnah in Kalayim. It reads, among the trees, the pears, the Kusantium pears, the quinces, the Azrolio, are not heterogeneous. Therefore, a cross between any two halachically permitted. The apples, the crab apples, the peaches, the almonds, the jujubes, and the lote, although resembling one another, are heterogeneous, and the crossbreed is prohibited. This is called kalayim, of a sort. Since 12 fruits, now we've also, let's eat this first. Try the pear, sorry. That's the pear. If anybody needs pear, we got pear here. All these beautiful fruits. This year we got in the house a food dryer. It's really been a machaya. Everything that we have in the refrigerator, whether it's tomatoes, onions, pears, whatever, they start getting too soft. We cut them up, we put them in the food dryer, and then we have all these homegrown. They're not necessarily that we homegrown, but we have. You need a pear? Right over there. Right there. We have all these beautiful. Instead of wasting the foods, right? We put them in this food dryer, right? And we get these beautiful dried fruits, and all you have to do is soak them, and they come back to their life. Okay, third cup of wine. At the end of the third sequence, since 12 fruits corresponding to the tetragrammaton, which is the manifestations of the name of our Creator, is who was, is, and always will be, Master of the universe, King of the universe, right? And the one and only. They've been eaten. A special l'chaim, right? To the Yud-K, the Vav-K, right? Our Creator of the universe, who gives us life, sustains us, and will continue to sustain us and love us as children of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov forever and ever. L'chaim tovim, for a good, sweet, wonderful year. Lean. And from Micha we say, they beat their swords into plowshares, their spears into pruning hooks, and nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, nor shall they learn war any more. But they shall sit every man under his vine, under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of the Lord, his host, has spoken. We're here in these times, as crazy as it looks in the world, as bad sometimes as it looks. Don't let it get you down. We're coming home. The end's in sight, right? We're going to have days when war will be a thing of the past. We'll read about it in history books, if we even read about it. We're coming to a new time, a new generation, a new age. Okay. Okay, 3/4 red and a little bit of white. We're in the fall and the autumn of the year when the grape orchards are open and all the fruits, all the fall, autumn fruits are coming in. And everything of the summer fruits is finishing off. All right? Little bit of white, lot of red. The earth is alive. Any red?
Oh.
The last cup. We'll take some dried mango instead of the Azaroli-olis. If anybody would like to see what an Azaroli looks like, it's called a custard apple. And what you have to do, actually, if you boil them, they're really sweet and delicious, but you have to boil them for quite a while to soften them up. All right, so we have dried mango. You got two things in there. One's dried mango, and one's dried papaya. The dried mango is skinnier and lighter colored than the dried papaya. And please, no comments in the mail about papaya. There's big problems in papaya because whether papaya are considered to be a fruit or a vegetable, they grow from seed to fruit in 9 months. If they're a fruit, we got big problems because we're in Orla. And if they're a vegetable, it's a problem because they grow from year to year for 6 or 7 or 8 years. Rebbe Vaji Yosef has ruled, as I understand it, I'm not a posek, I'll leave that to other people, but as I understand it, he's ruled that you can eat dried papaya because they come from outside the country and there's coolers for the oil problem. In Eretz Yisrael, you're not allowed to eat. First of all, there aren't any dried papayas from Eretz Yisrael because there aren't enough grown here. And the live ones that are here are problems because there's a vast majority of them are olive fruits if you hold it's a fruit tree. So the papayas that we have here tonight came from outside of Eretz Yisrael, even though they grow here to get around the problem of oil, right, where we have permission to eat them. But right now we're eating a mango. This is dried mango. Again, incredible flavors and tastes. Just took this mango and put it in a dehydrator. Took a fresh mango, sliced it into the dehydrator, 95 to 100 degrees. Just warm air blowing on it for 12 to 24, at the most 36 hours, and you have dried mangoes. Don't have to throw your food away. You know, there's a Torah principle not to waste. Get a dryer, get a dehydrator. You don't have to waste. You don't have to throw the bad foods away. Just as soon as they start going, put them in there, dry them up, right, and rehydrate them when you need them. And you can save them without refrigeration. Mishnah and Brachas. If one says over the fruit of the tree, the blessing, who creates the fruit of the ground, Borei Pri Ha'adamah, they perform their obligation. But if they set it over the produce of the ground, Borei Pri Ha'etz, who's created the fruit of the tree, they have not performed their obligation. If he said, by whose words all things are created, Shall Kol Niyeh Bidvaro, over any of them, he performed his obligation for Borei Pri Ha'etz, Ha'adamah, or Shall Kol. First, fruit of the tree is considered of the land as well. But the reverse, fruit of the land, is not considered to be a fruit of the tree. And everything, Shall Kol Niyeh Bidvaro, concludes everything, that is a secondary position. We're now ready to begin with the filbert, also known as a hazelnut. It's a round nut. The Mishnah and Brachas, chapter 6, verse 3. Over everything which does not grow from the earth, one says, Shall Kol Niyeh Bidvaro, enjoy the hazelnut.
Say shekel.
No.
We haven't said one.
You don't,
No, nothing.
Do you say a shakol on this?
No, you say Borei Pri Ha'etz on this. They just happen to bring down the Mishnah. Cherries.
Cherry. Where did my cherry go? Oh, this is maybe.
There it is. We couldn't find. Usually they have these little black cherries. I have to warn everybody not to knock their teeth out because it has a little bit of meat.
That's not it?
Nope, they usually have it right here. They're maraschino cherries, unfortunately.
Mine mixed up with mine.
Yes.
No, those are cranberries.
No, those are cranberries. Just take one of these. That's all. We don't have many, so people need them. All right, the cherry. Usually we have natural cherries with it, but the seed and just very little meat on them, and you have to be really careful. But we had to use maraschino cherries this year.
Red dye number 2.
Red dye number 2, the whole thing, it says, if one has several varieties of fruit before him, Rebbe Yehuda says that if there is among them one of the 7 species, Aramidim of Eretz Yisrael, that's figs, dates, olives, grapes, and pomegranate, right? He makes the blessing over those first, or wheat and barley. But the sages say he makes the blessing over the kind that pleases him the most. And the law is according, in an unusual case here, according to Rebbe Yehuda. Let's taste that cherry. I'm sorry that they have the red dye.
Little red dye.
No one will die over the dye.
We don't need some vodka or something?
No, it's number 2. We said it was number 2, not number 9.
We're experts on that.
This is called passion fruit. All right. I just want to invite people, if you want, at any time during the Seder now, you have, if you haven't had them, this is the famous sabra that they call, all the Jews in Israel. What's the thing? These have been ground down. By the way, if you're in the desert and you ever get stuck and you want to know how to eat these, just a quick lesson, take a couple of rocks, right? Literally go over to the sabra, it's on the thing, and just rub the rocks on the sides. So you take all the little bristles off of the spines off from the cactus, and then you can take them off and handle them to eat them. That's how they get the spines removed. You also have passion fruit over here on your plate. Be careful.
Especially if you're old.
Yeah. Right? And this is a sabra. You have kiwi fruits from New Zealand that have gotten up here quite commonly. You might not have eaten that. There's star fruits. That's a what? A shesek. So, and there's also kumquats. Just so everybody should try to make a nice shechianu before we're finished. That's what those things is the minimum here for. One shechianu covers everything.
What is this one?
That's a passion fruit. Yes, you may. You just scoop out some of these.
What is that?
What? Sabra. What? You can make it on that or the passion fruit. All right. So everybody make themselves a shechianu on one of these. Don't make a shechianu or anything dried. You got to eat shechianu on a fresh.
Give me a little bit of that.
Okay, ready? So everybody can hear it.
Squeeze just a little bit in there. Okay.
Okay.
Shechianu now.
All right. I'm gonna lead us in the shechianu. Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam shechianu v'higianu v'shechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Completely unique. All right. Apricot. The apricot. We'll read it under the red apple, Mishnah and Brucha 6. If those at the table are sitting upright, hopefully, especially tonight with only grape juice, do not form a party. Each one says grace after meals for himself. And if you're sitting up, but you're not together as a group, everyone benches or says the grace after the meal for themselves. If they've reclined, in other words, they're joined together in a group, one says grace for all, the others fulfill their obligation by answering Amen. The apricot is also orange. Oh, this is the wrong one, I took this. The apricot's kind of soft. Right, mishmish, that's it. Right. Everybody tastes really special food. Loved in Eretz Yisrael. And mishmish, kids love them for the seeds, right? They throw seeds in the box with numbers on them and everything. Gotta be careful with that you don't waste the food. A lot of kids go out and buy bags of mishmish and take out the seeds and you don't have anything, so get a food dryer.
Where did
All right.
He's selling food dryers at the end of the.
I have food dryers special sale. Next we have pistachio, the famous pistachio nut. All right, everybody knows what pistachio is? I don't have one. Oh, there they are. Okay, everybody, crack open your pistachio nut. Enjoy salted pistachios. Don't forget, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it so when it was ready, it opened its little mouth up so you can get. You ever try to get your fingernails in where there's no crack? It's very hard. Nice big cracks, pull them right apart. Enjoy. This is a general principle. Whenever with one food another is taken as a secondary food called Ika and Tafel, whenever you have an Ika and a Tafel, a blessing set over the principal food, and it will serve to cover the Tafel, the secondary. Now we have a very unusual thing. We got the pine seed. These are the little white seeds. They actually grow in the pine cone of the pine tree. They don't come out every year. They only come out every, I see, the 4 or 7 years when the pine cones fall. They go wonderful in salads as a supplement to salads. People put them into vegetable salads. Everybody enjoy the pine seed, right? It's not a yearly crop. It comes every few years, right? The first time I did this Seder with Yeshua Moshe Alav Shalom 20 years ago, you couldn't find pine seeds. We found in one store in Mea Sharim or in Geula, we found pine seeds, and they were stale. It tasted like they'd been there for about 20 years. The guy used to say, that's what we want. I said, I want those. They were horrible, but they were there. Now they got them everywhere.
This must be the prune, right?
Now we got a prune.
Ah, that's it. I couldn't figure it out.
Dark brown color. They don't have plums in the market. Prunes is just a dried plum. Mesiris Nefesh, Rachel Rena and her friends for doing these prunes. They're so sticky, you gotta cut them off the shell and everything. Okay, everybody taste your prune. If 3 persons have eaten together, it is their duty to invite one another to say grace, which we call Birkat HaMazon, to bench together, to invite each other to bench. Finally, we have the pecan. The pecan now looks like if you look at the pecan, when you open up the nut of the pecan, it has 2 lobes. Pecan wood is a food, as a tea, is good for the lungs. It's a lung medicine. And the pecans actually look like 2 lungs, the 2 lobes of the lung. They face each other like this. You open them up, right? And you open it up in the middle. The nut splits in half and opens up like the left and the right lung. Enjoy the flavor and the taste of the pecan as we finish off the 4th sequence for the coming through. We've gone through the whole year now. We've gone from the winter to the spring to the summer. We've tasted more than 20 different fruits. We've made a shechianu. We've seen every one of them has a unique flavor, a unique consistency, a different medicine for a different part of the body. We want to take with this 4th cup of wine to thank everybody for joining us here in this wonderful Tu B'Shvat Seder in Ir HaKodesh in Yerushalayim. All our friends around the world, all our friends that are sitting here, all the people that have finished the Smicha program with the Pirchei Shoshanim Shema Yisrael Shulchan Aruch project. Mazel Tov to you. And we look forward to this beginning the season of, in 30 days from now, we'll sit here together for Purim. And 60 days from now, we'll sit here together keeping the remembrance and the re-experiencing the going out of Mitzrayim and our exodus from Egypt. And l'chaim tovim, to a healthful, prosperous year. All your activities and all your work and deeds for the sake of Hashem should be fruitful. L'chaim tovim. Lean.
Lean
You're a
left.
free man.